Hello and welcome to yet another review channel. Today I'm going to talk to you about impulse responses and impulse response loaders. So an impulse response is a sonic emulation of a cabinet, a guitar cabinet of some description, a speaker. They're made in different ways and it all revolves around audio modelling. I'm not going to go into it because I don't understand it, it's too clever for me. But the point is, what you're left with is a simulation of how different speakers and cabinets and things respond to your guitar and your preamp and everything. Now, why is this useful? Now, this is useful because if you, like me, play live straight into a PA, PAs are not guitar cabs. They don't have the same resonance. They don't respond the same way. If you use an impulse response, you can kind of fake it and make it sound to the audience like you're going through a real guitar cab. And what's really cool about that is you can then choose which type of guitar cabinet you want to use. And what's really cool about that is it allows you to choose which type of cabinet you want to use. So, for instance, when I'm recording, I'll do two versions of the same bit of guitar. I'll pan them left and right. And in one side I'll have an IR for a Marshall, and on the other side I'll have an IR for a Fender. So whilst all the preamp and everything is the same, the cabinet changes, and that really does change the feel of, and also the sound of the guitar parts. So how do you use impulse responses? Now, this is the simplest way I have found. The Sonic IR from Sonic. It's probably the simplest hardware IR loader I've ever used. It's about 30 quid. I love it. You can hold 11 IRs on it. You can load your own. It comes preloaded with 11 as well. And you literally just turn the dial to select which IR you want. There are lots of ways of doing this. My Boss GX 100 has an IR loader built in. There are very, very expensive IR loaders, and then there are mid ones and then cheap ones like this. For me, this is all I need because it has a guitar in, it has a guitar out, and it has a balanced XLR out. So I can put this at the end of my kind of effects run, put a little preampy type pedal like this Joyo, or a Moon, sorry, before it, and it sounds very amp-like. Now, the one thing, these Moons do have a cab sim built in, but it's not necessarily fantastic, so I've kind of desoldered it inside and I use this with it now instead to get whatever cab I want. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how this one works, but also what difference this whole thing makes, because you might think, well, you know, does the cabinet make that much difference? And it really does. So what I've got here is I've got the Moon going into it. I have the stock impulse responses loaded into the Sonic 8. With number 11 left blank so you can hear what it sounds like without the IR. I'm going to read through what they all are. So 1 is a Fender Champ, 2 is Vox, then Fender Twin Reverb, Marshall 2x12, Fender Bassman 4x10, Orange 4x12, Marshall 1960 4x12, PV6505 4x12, Mesa Boogie Rec 4x12, and then 10 is a Mark Bass 2x10, and if it was there, 11 would be an Ampeg 8x10. So I'm going to go through and show you what difference this makes. I've got the Moon set to kind of just a slightly dirty, cleanish tone, so bridge pickup. And I'm going to turn this around to 1, so this is what the Champion version sounds like. So nothing. Champion. So there's definitely a difference. And I'm just go through them and show you how much this changes the tone. Nothing else is changing, just the impulse response. So the difference between, say, the Fender and the Vox. To the Fender. Now, obviously, each one has a slightly different volume. So most of your IR loaders will have a way of balancing that, either with an EQ or with a volume. So this has a little volume. Each of those cabs has such a unique sound to it. Now, obviously, these are the stock cabs in the Sonic 8 IR. You can get loads of great ones. I like the Chop Tones IRs, which are paid for. There's also lots of free ones. I really like the God cab. That's fantastic. You can get loads of them. You don't need to pay for them, but generally speaking, the paid ones are better. But to be honest, the ones that are built into this are great for most circumstances. I really like the Vox one, the second one. As opposed to the Marshall, I'm not as big a fan of. I find it, I don't know, it's an odd one. It feels a bit boxier to me, but that might just be the IR. So yeah, that's what IRs are, impulse responses. They are essentially a model of a speaker or cabinet. I think you should have one if you're a live playing musician, because if everything goes wrong, your amp's dead, as long as you've got some kind of preamp pedal, I mean, even if you don't have a preamp pedal, you can just go into this straight and at least have that cab simulation. So if I turn off the preamp and turn this up, obviously it's not as good, but at a push, at least gives you that sound of a cab rather than just your guitar goes straight into a PA or an interface. But obviously it sounds better with a preamp of some sort. There you go. Impulse responses. I think having one of these little loaders is essential. I very much recommend the Sonic 8 just because it's cheap and it does the job. Don't have to worry about any settings. You just turn the dial and it gives you a different cab. You can load your own into it, so I really like it. I also recommend having one of these little Moon pedals as a preamp. They're so versatile and they sound fantastic. Let me know what IR loaders you use. Are you spending lots of money on impulse responses themselves? Have you got an insanely expensive IR loader? There are lots out there, you know, Eventide, 2 Notes, all those sorts of things. So let me know what you think. Get in the comments, tell me all about it, like, subscribe, and I'll see you again soon. Cheers.